Whew, what's up, my friends? How you doing? It's early in the morning. Early in the morning. My hair's a mess. Sorry about that. This whole Sheshko situation got me up early. This whole Sheshko situation got me up early. Um, how you doing? Yeah, I don't know if any of you were watching the United View, but Owen called me at like 7 in the morning to ask about this. I was up, of course, as I always am. But Jonathan, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the gifted memberships to start us off this morning. Appreciate that. Thank you for that. Um, yeah, look, this is kind of crazy. I want to talk kind of about the money aspect. Do you guys remember when the Mbumo thing happened? People kept asking me, like, do we have money for a striker afterwards? Do you remember what my answer was at that time? My answer at that time was, it kind of just depends what you want to believe, because United wanted, after Mbumo, everyone to believe that they didn't have any money, right? And that was kind of the message. But we could spend on a striker. That's what I said all along. We could spend on a striker. There's some risk involved in that. We have to recoup some of that money probably by next season. But if we get it, the risk involved is this: if we do this and we don't get back into Europe, then we're probably in a little bit of trouble if we don't recoup some money. But we do have more money than expected. We do have more money than expected. We do have more money than people let on. The financial management aspect, this is, again, just saying why I'm always been quite positive on Ineos. Their financial management has been insane, honestly. Given the fact that they're not majority owners, given the fact that they've maximized how much money they could put in, given the fact that the Glazers aren't going to pump more money in, and that, we need agreement from them to put money in. Ineos's financial management of the club, freeing up funds in order to be able to spend in the market and spend on the football costs where we need to, is unbelievable. This is what they do, though. They're like, the idea that these guys who run this massive, super successful financial 76 billion oil business don't know how to run a business financially. This is what they do. They go into businesses and they make them profitable. It's been their entire business model for 20 years under Jim Ratcliffe. Find businesses, buy them, make them profitable. Smash the like, guys. Yes, thank you, Iraqi. And another 10 from Jason Temialakis. Thank you for that. This is what they do. So they've spent a lot. They've enabled United to have an enormous amount of money with Ineos, Omar, all of the decisions that have been made. So now the question becomes. Thank you again, Jason. Is this a good idea? Is this a good idea? That's the question. Is this a good idea? This is what we're wondering now. Should we have done this or not? So, some information. Were you guys watching? Some of you were watching yesterday's video, right? Yesterday's live after Newcastle's bid went in. And I said that I was following up on a tip. Okay? But I didn't have an update at that point in time. The tip was that United, I understood, well, what the tip I got was that United were having some sort of meeting or discussion with Sesko's people, and I was trying to confirm it. How long do we wait to determine if the idea was good? Probably a year or two, yeah. But I didn't have anything to share as of yet. Obviously, now United have made the bid, so I think that tip was obviously correct, I should say. Yesterday, Sesko's people had contact with both United and Newcastle and gave encouragement to both United and Newcastle to make bids. And that's apparently where we're at. He gave encouragement to both clubs to make bids. Now, my feeling and the feeling at United has always been, and I think the feeling at Newcastle has always been, if it's equal, I did this exact hand motion in the video yesterday. If it's equal, he'll choose us. So if it's equal, surely he chooses us, right? I'm a little worried. Are we going to have to match that 5 million? I don't know. That small gap in there, or is the bid we've made enough because the add-ons are better or something like that? Are personal terms equal? I have no idea. I have no idea on that front. I actually don't know. Their bid might be better, but our add-ons might be better. Like, we don't have enough detail to know as of yet. They might be close enough.
James, I had
that we don't have
that it
could work.
Sale. I saw your video explaining the financials.
Lingering question.
But if we buy a striker, all that money saved, maybe more goes towards new striker, doesn't it?
Saw your video explaining the financials, but if we buy a striker, all that money's... Yeah, look, I think we're going to push Højlund out the door now, okay? If we get Sesko in, I think we'll push Højlund out the door to recoup some of that money. Yeah, I think I saw that from Fabrizio, that our add-ons are mostly easy. We don't know what Newcastle's add-ons look like. We don't know what Newcastle's add-ons are at this point in time. But basically, a couple things have happened. The agent or someone in his camp had talks with both clubs. Actually, the player himself had talks with Newcastle's owner yesterday. So they've had talks with both clubs yesterday and encouraged both clubs to make a bid. So I think both clubs at the time felt that he wanted to go to them. So we don't yet 100% know. Now, this shouldn't drag on, though. I mean, like, if he wants us, this shouldn't take any time, should it not? Like, am I crazy? Like, if he does want us, we should be hearing this like now. Like, while we're sitting on this live, this deal should get done. Because if he wants us, he's not going to now have to like waffle around for another day, right?
Højlund will go. It's clear.
Højlund will go. It's clear. Garnacho goes. CM in. But who? We'll come back to the midfield thing in a minute. I want to talk about that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, no, I know how long some of these deals take, but my point is that if we did this, if he wants us, then it shouldn't take any time. If it takes time, then we can't be sure he actually wants us. You know what I mean? That's my concern on the matter. It shouldn't take time now. So we should be finding out, like, imminently whether this deal gets done. I seem stressed. No, it's 7:54 in the morning. I'm not as like settled as I would be in the afternoon already. It's just early. It's just early. I'm good. I'm good. No, 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 no. I'm okay. I'm okay. Look, here's where I stand on this. And I did say this yesterday. So this isn't me coping this morning. I got really, really on board. I got really, really on board with Sesko
Still got a feeling we
Sunday
have
night.
been played and they will
Still
go
got a
with
gut
the
feeling we've been
highest
played and they will
offer.
go with the highest offer. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that Barada 4 deals thing. I think that's a misquote. Nobody else said that, by the way. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, it came to my office. But look, Sunday, like I've had my doubts on Sesko, okay? But I did a video Sunday morning, Saturday maybe it was, where I showed that whole thing on like I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna show you what I like about Sesko and what got me on board. And then I want to show and then I want to say that, I got really excited about the idea. Where's this article? Fuck's sake, man. I got really excited about it watching the game Sunday because it was so obvious to me that we were missing a striker, a big guy to run the channels, to be a focal point up front. I do not want to see Cunha at striker. I do not. I thought we wasted I thought it was such a massive waste putting Cunha at striker. Buying him and for what he's good at and putting him at striker, to me, I never want to see it again. I never want to see it again. Are you doing a separate live on new stadium stalling? No, we'll talk about that later. Let me just address that really quick. There's a report on the stadium stalling because they can't agree with the land things over the cost on the land, right? Lord Sebco, is it Lord, right? Whatever. Sebco is on a committee that can force that deal to go through, and he was appointed to that committee because I think this whole strategy, because there was an expectation that this was going to stall on this land sale aspect. So they already kind of have the contingency in place to address this matter, because as part of that committee, Lord Co actually has the authority to apparently force a sale, given that the government is backing this project. That's all I know about that matter. How long that takes, I don't know. But he can do a compulsory sale. He can force a compulsory sale via that committee if the deal is not moving. So while I think that there's an issue there, it's already somewhat solved essentially. So yeah, they can do a compulsory purchase. So it's an issue, but it's not an issue. That's welcome to your feudal system of the UK. Just kidding. Yeah, because the governor, mayor, I don't know how your whole government system works. They want it out. They want this thing to be changed. And apparently they have the power and authority to do so. So it's a problem, but it's a problem that they were expecting to solve, and that they already have the pieces in place to solve. Complain to your local people about that. It's almost like these guys know what they're doing. You know what I mean? But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I really don't want United to be playing Cunha at striker. My whole feeling on Cunha has always been his best role is dropping deep, and how he can drive the team up the pitch. We saw in those first games that he how deep Cunha was going into the midfield, how deep he was going to pick the ball up. We missed that at striker. 5 more gifted from Glenn. Thank you for that. Apparently Newcastle want a solution today. I bet everybody does. I don't think anybody wants this to drag any longer, and we have to know. So yeah, we all need to know. But regardless, what I was saying is that I was really getting on board the Sesko thing. I have some doubts, but I have some positives. And the reason is a couple of good things here. Number one, third fastest forward in the Bundesliga. Good. We need speed. We need massive speed up front. We need somebody running. We know that. 6'5", fast as fuck. These are good things. That's good. Those are all good things, okay? So that's one part of it. Then, where was it that I found? So then you take this part of it too. Percentage of striker runs as run-ins in behind. He makes a high number of runs in behind at high speed, fairly similar to Nicholas Jackson. This is this whole power forward thing where I said this is why I really like Gyökeres, by the way. Sesko, he's near Gyökeres on a lot of those things. Now, the one thing I thought that stood out, the one thing that stood out is this part. Like, this is runs in behind received per match, and this is percentage of runs that lead to a shot. So he turns runs into shots at a good number, but he does not receive the ball in behind. Now, the argument to be made here is that this is a problem with Red Bull, not with Sesko. Because he makes a lot of runs, as we can see from, where is it? Here. Percentage of striker runs as runs in behind. He makes a lot of runs. Rasmus is way down here. So Sesko makes a lot more runs in behind, but he doesn't receive the ball a lot. That sounds like a Red Bull problem because of the two-striker thing, because Openda is the one receiving all the passes. So the argument is being made here that he does do runs in behind, that he has the speed to run in behind, that he has the capability to run in behind, but the two-striker system with Openda's getting all the runs in behind, so Openda's getting all of the goals, so Openda is benefiting more from it. So if he was the doubt, or maybe the concern is that because his runs in behind aren't great and Openda's are better. I'm not saying that's the case, but it is a wonder. It is a concern, point being. It's something to think about. It could well be, just Leipzig's tactics. Because that they feel they want Sesko dropping deeper because he's big, and Openda running because he's short and fast. It could be that simple. We'll see. He has the capability. My doubts on the deal at all. I'll here, one sec. I'll post this article for you because it's a good article. My doubts on the deal, the only doubts that I have on the deal are that I like to get players who are doing the thing I want them to do. Like, Gyökeres is already doing it. Watkins already doing it. Osimhen, Jackson, they're all already doing it. Sesko probably can do it, but isn't already doing it. So it could well be the Leipzig thing. Samix, you say, trust me, Sesko's being misused. Sesko runs proper channels, wasn't allowed to, but they like him dropping deep. So I'm not going to say I disagree, because I cannot honestly say I've watched enough of Leipzig to be making that judgment myself. I'm guessing there are people who've watched more, and I'm gonna be, I don't know. I'm gonna have faith in this. I'm backing this. But anyway, I saw that there was good signs. Then I watched Sunday, and I said, holy shit, we miss a striker. We need that striker. I do not want to see Cunha up there. I want Cunha dropping deep. I want Mbeumo dropping deep. And I realized for the first time as well why Ruben Amorim likes Bruno deep so much. And I think he's right. I've seen the light. I'm now a believer, my friends. I want Bruno D in the midfield. I've seen the light. I've seen the light. I'm a believer. I understand it. I finally get it. Okay? I know that Bruno deep has its own issues like out of possession. I get it. I know that Bruno deep has its own like problems, like the second goal we conceded, he turns it over, trying to do something silly and all of that. Okay, I get that. But Bruno with runners around him is an unbelievable player. Bruno with runners around him is insane. I look at that season under Solskjaer with Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. They scored like fucking 100 goals or some crazy thing that season. I think they scored like 60, 70 goals or whatever between them. It was some crazy number with Bruno feeding them. And when I saw that light was second half, we'd been really bad, all right? And then we brought on Mason Mount. We changed things up. We moved Bruno deep. And very briefly, it was Bruno plus Ugarte for about 10 minutes. And Dorgu goes and wins the ball. Bruno runs up there. Dorgu finds him. Mount makes the run into the box. Bruno finds him in there, and Mount scores. And I realized, right, that goal doesn't happen if Bruno's in the front line. Because nobody's making that extra run that Bruno made to go forward. Nobody made that extra run that Bruno made to go forward. If he wasn't there. And we wouldn't have had the runner next to him if he had been dropping out of the box. My biggest issue with him as a 10 in this system has been that's fine, guys. Hold on, I want to see something really quick. Okay. Anyway, we'll go back to that in a second. Look, guys, I know. Look, the reality is, so what Sully's saying is totally correct. We know United feel he's chosen, he's preferring us. That's why we've bid, right? That's correct. Totally correct. United will feel he will choose us. That's why we've bid. That's why I've said I really hope we're right. But hold on, we'll get to it because there's a story from McGrath that is a little Mike McGrath here. Hold on. I'm going to open this article up because McGrath is also a top journalist and as well. I'm just looking at this one. This is what McGrath says. Both bids are being evaluated. Son of a biscuit. No. Hold on. I'm going to cheat. Okay. All right. Can't do it. Anyway, what it says is, I have to put it in the archives. What it says is that he, both clubs believe that he's chosen them, just for what it's worth. That's about what I've heard too. Both clubs have been given encouragement, but United, I think, have felt more in their driver's seat all along. So hopefully they're correct. But yeah, his article says both clubs believe that he's gonna pick them. I hope we're right, man. Anyway, I'm on board with Sesko. I don't want us to lose now. I really, really, really don't want us to lose now. I do not want us to lose out once we've made this bid now. I would feel very silly if we do. I think we'd all feel very silly if we lose out now. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I'm on board with Bruno being deeper because when he's in the 10s as well, one of the things he does is he drops out. He drops out of the box. He doesn't get in the box. Like the spot where Mason Mount sat, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced about whether he'll choose us because I think United think he's going to choose us. I think that the people I speak with think he's going to choose us. but that's just one side of the story. I want to be sure he's going to choose us. Oh, this guy. I always time you out and you always come back. I want to be sure he's going to choose us. United feel he's going to choose us. And he gave us encouragement yesterday. I trust them. I trust them until they give me reason not to. And right now I'm good. Well, you have different reports from the Newcastle side, right? You have some people Newcastle side saying they think he favors United, and some people saying that they think he favors them. I don't know the answer. What we get out of Germany is he's told both clubs and agreed with both clubs. So you can see why Arsenal moved for Gyökeres. Yeah, I can. There's some complications here. What are the implications if we lose out? Less bargaining power with other clubs? Yeah, that's an issue. We're not getting a better deal on anybody else if we lose out. You know? You said we didn't want Sesko on your Discord, you fraud. Listen, if you want to screenshot things that I've said in Discord, you can find far, 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 far stupider things that I've said. Far stupider things that I've said. Because, like, you know, it's Discord. I've said far, far stupider things. And the funny thing is, those wonderful screenshots that you're spending your time wasting coming into my YouTube to talk to me about are in response to an article from The Athletic. They're just messages. I shitpost like 24/7 in Discord. I've said far dumber things. Far dumber things in Discord. So enjoy. You can feel free to join if you'd like. Thanks for the messages. One problem with this deal is it has to go through because everyone knows we have the money. Yeah, we can't get Watkins cheaper now. We can't get Jackson cheaper now if it doesn't go through. If it doesn't go through, we're just going to have to pay the money for somebody. Are you worried about that midfield? We can talk about that in a second. Do you think Vivel's United career would be riding on a signing, given how much we'd pay? I don't want to be like dramatic about it and negative, but yeah, this is a big call from him. It's a big call from him pushing for this deal. Yeah, like it's stupid. Like somebody posting as a gotcha a message in Discord, like a casual random message in Discord is just like, it's so dumb. Like how childish can you be? Like, okay, I've probably sent 50,000 messages in Discord over the last few years. And I've said horribly stupid things many, many times. Changed my mind on many, many different things. That doesn't mean that was like an update. I give my updates on video so people can hold me accountable for those things for a reason. You know, I have spots that I type updates in, and I have places where I post my opinion. My opinions are probably wrong just as much as everybody else's. Okay, posting my opinions going out of your way to post my opinions online, like, okay, good for you. Like, I say my dumb opinions on video 24/7 as well. Like, that's the whole point. That's what I do. I'm here. I do videos every single day. So every single day, I post. You know, if we made an 85 million bid for a player, and your first thought is, James Rhodes, look at what he said. You got problems, dude. You got problems. You got problems in your own head. That's weird behavior. I'm just some guy living in Colorado. Like, why are you so obsessed with me? Leave me alone. It's just sad. Yeah, most of the time I give my info. When it's my opinion. When it's info, I make it pretty explicit that it's info. Otherwise, it's just my opinions. And my opinions, much like the wind, change dramatically. I didn't like Sesko. I look into it more. Now I'm on board with Sesko. Cool beans. I made that very clear. I did a whole video with KG taking the argument of I don't want Sesko and I want Watkins, while he wanted Sesko. So like, yeah, like I'm not hiding my opinions that I held on Benjamin Sesko. Your real pretty feet. Thanks, Shatters. But yeah, so we're okay, guys. Yeah, it's okay. You're no KG for flip. No, I stick to my opinions and then I change them and I don't pretend I didn't hold them before. I've got what I've got. I think what I think. But yeah, like I was saying, I very much like Bruno deeper, because I did realize that he doesn't go like where Mount went and scored that goal. He doesn't go there. And it'd be better to have somebody who does go there while he goes somewhere else. Thoughts on Connie de Winter from Bologna as Bologna as a CCB? I have no idea who that is. I'm not going to lie to you. I will never lie and say I've watched a player when I haven't. I never watched that club, and I don't watch enough Serie A to know anything about that player. Yeah, like everybody's got opinions. Everybody changes their mind on everything. That it's so funny that you bring up that Burnley example. Is really funny because people hated the idea of what's his name, the Burnley midfielder, that we were linked to last year, before around the time of Ugarte. Who was that? What's the guy's name? Not Baloney. I don't know. And people hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Hi James, keep up the good
and then
work. Love your channel.
Sanderberg hated it. Smile. And I actually made a case for him. And then 6 months later, people are like, we should have got Berg instead of Ugarte. He was always so much better. Okay, whatever, man. Keep up the good work. Love your channel. Stay calm. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm calm. I'm very calm. I'm calm. I'm a Zen guy.
Really,
James, I think after striker we have to get a goalkeeper. Sorry. It's just early in the morning. I'm chaotic. I have a chaotic. I think after a striker we have to get a goalkeeper. I think a goalkeeper I'd rather get before a midfielder too. Really not convinced by this deal. Give me copium. Well, I just kind of did. What is Sesko going to? What is Sesko gonna do? Right? What is Sesko gonna do? He's a fast as fuck runner. He's 6'5". Hard as fuck. No. He's fast as fuck. He's tall as fuck. He can run the channels well. He has a rocket of a foot. What I think he will do is help us play better football. He will help us play better football. He will help us play better football. He will help us play more the way. Oh my God. Newcastle United accidentally left defender Matt Targett in Seoul, South Korea. The club discovered he was not on board yesterday's return flight upon its arrival back into Newcastle. The club has confirmed he's safe and will board up. Is that real? Is that a real story? Is that a real journalist? That's got to be a joke, right? That's got to be a joke. Francis Chip. That's a meme, right? Is that real? It's it's a parody, right? The thing is, it is a troll account. Yeah. The thing is, with how Newcastle's window is going, I believe it. It's a parody, obviously, but like, with how their window is going, it's believable. Cause like, they're just what a mess in Newcastle, man. Seoul, South Korea. Excuse me. Pardon me pronouncing it incorrectly. It's just believable. It would be funny. Oh man, but yeah, look, that's the cope. Sesko will run fast, run hard, high sprint speed, makes a lot of runs. We'll get the ball to him. He should be able to win the ball. He's good as fuck in the air too. And this was even when I was negative on the deal. Even when I was negative on the deal, what I was positive on Sesko, the one thing I said is actually really positive, is I want a striker who's good in the air. We've got probably the best striker on the market in the air. Insane in the air, giant, massive leap, all of that. Mbeumo, huge part of his creativity is those in-swinging crosses. Having Sesko in the box, I want to see 5-headed goals in the league from Mbeumo. I want to see five. I want to see 5 of them. I want to see 5 goals coming from I want to see 5-headed goals. This season in the league from Mbeumo crosses in to Sesko. I want to see a minimum of that. And that would be very good. Now, back to my Bruno point, because someone said I was being hypocritical saying I want progression in the midfield. That's not what I said. I don't want progression in the midfield. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Bruno progressing the ball from the midfield. I'm talking about the final third. I'm talking about the attack. I'm talking about like the interplays where you have runners so that Bruno can lay the ball off to those runners on the ball who can go ahead of him. And I'm talking about in the final third. I want more attackers in front of Bruno when we get into attacking position. Okay? So that, like with that goal that Mason Mount scores, when Bruno is joining the attack, there's more players in the box and making runs around him so that in the final third, he can pass the ball around. Hit guys through the lines so that they can do cutbacks. Sometimes the ball before the ball, sometimes the direct ball, all of that. I want Bruno joining that attack and having more players in front of him, not behind him. Because I think one of the downsides of Bruno being in the front three is he doesn't go in the box. It's a criticism I had of him. He doesn't go in the box when he's an attacker. He drops out of the box. So we always have too few numbers in the box. So I'd rather have more forwards in front of him so that we get numbers in the box, because he's not getting in the box. Bruno is not a box player. He plays just outside the box. I'm talking. It's not progressive. I'm talking about the final third. I'm talking when I say the ball before the ball. I'm talking about, like, let's say that's not what a progressive pass is. By the way, if you're up in the front three, like just outside the box, and you've got the wing back making that run, Bruno's the guy hitting the ball to the wing back, making that curling run so that Dorgu can smash the ball across for a tap-in. That's not a progressive pass. It's a pass through the lines in the final third, not a progressive pass. That's not what progressive pass actually means. That's not even by definition. It's the guy hitting the pass to the wingback, making that run in behind their fullback, and or conversely the 10 or things like that. So, or hitting crosses into the box. I like Bruno to do. But if Bruno's one of the forwards, that means he is not in the box. And then you have fewer players to cross it to. So there's a lot of advantages to him, to having more players in front of him than him being there. Now, the worry is obviously out of possession. I will say that I don't like him in the front three because I don't think he's a good presser. I know that Bruno's an energetic presser, but I actually think he's not a very good presser. That's just my opinion. I think there's evidence of that. I don't think he presses well as part of the front three. I think he gets a bit chaotic at times, gets dragged out of position too much. I think that with Mbeumo, with potentially Sesko, with Ahmad, with Cunha, we'll have more intelligent pressers. If James reads this out, I'm calling my future daughter Sesko. Gotcha. Okay. I think we get more about that. He presses too much. I'd rather he sits a little bit and then plays with the other midfielder. But I have concerns. What he does need to do is be safer with the ball. What he does need to do is be safer with the ball, though, as a deeper player, because he did that over the course of this season, and I was surprised by how much he adjusted, because I didn't think he could be safer with the ball. And then he got, over the course of the season, he was better. He did adjust and he did improve. But, you know, we'll see about that. That he's going to need to. I think that, again, the long term is that Kobbie Mainoo replaces him. That's what I think. I think Kobbie Mainoo is the long term replacement for him, and I think it'll be a good balance. God, I don't know what's going to happen on this Sesko thing, guys. Do you? Does anybody? Okay, there was another question. People were wondering some other things. After Sesko, do we have the money? Here's what the finances. Look, we can't know whether we have more money afterwards. We can't know until we know what this deal entails. Because bigger than the fee, it's how the cash installments work on the deal. How much money do we have to pay up front in order to make this deal happen? Surely United are going bonds their means to right now to sign Sesko. No, not really. Listen, let me explain, okay? I did a PR versus PSR video back at the end of January, okay? And I explained that United would have about 100 million to spend on transfers this summer before sales. Okay? Well, we don't know what the payment structure is unless it's been reported somewhere, Craig. I'm not sure how we would know that. United had about 100 million to spend on transfers before sales. Two things have happened. Because we spend a bit more than that. One, 200 more staff. Redundancies over the course of this year. It's a lot of money. That was on the basis that United were saving about 50 million in cash per year. And I did a whole chart and graph and things like that, okay? I could pull it up again just because I like looking at it.
We can't keep building
the team thinking about will affect Bruno. It stunts our growth as a club. He's a good player, but we need to move on. Well, I don't disagree with your opinion, but I don't think we are building the team around Bruno, if you notice. Like, we're actually building the team around here. Look, I found this because I made an updated video after the last. Was there something new? Hamza, don't bait, okay? Oh, he's just linking to his video. Okay, all right. He's just linking to his video. Not new. Not new, guys. That's not new. He's just linking to his video. Laurie said we have money because we're expecting sales later. What are your thoughts? Will Garnacho pure profit be to balance Sesko or more signings? It's complicated, okay? It's complicated. Look, hold on. I'm going to bring this up. I made this video, I think it was June 6th. after United's third quarter results came out, I was really excited about their third quarter results. Do you guys remember that when the third quarter results, and I made a video and I said, and I was really excited. I said they did an insane job. We've done better than we've ever done before financially. The numbers are better than ever. We could probably spend more money. Well, I'm going to show you my once again perfect prediction of our finances, okay? Because I know what I'm doing. This was June 6th. It says, my previous analysis was that we could lose 120 million. With deductions, United can... Let me go back. With deductions, United can lose 120 million and comply. We may lose very little to none. However, United blah, 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 blah. Truthfully, in bold, United can probably spend 200 million net with no problem. There you have it. United could spend 200 million net with no problem, but without sales, that could leave us on edge next summer if we miss out on Europe again. Cash flow is a bigger concern. Deals must be structured right. So this was 2 months ago, all right? That's what I said. I'm glad I have the evidence of it because I know I said it. United could spend about 200 million net, but we need sales to help recoup the money to spend next summer. Cash flow is a bigger concern. And then I said I was hoping for Gyökeres, but I had Cunha and Mbeumo 125 million, and then 55 million pounds for a striker. So we're going to pay a little more than that, about 65 million for a striker. But this is what I expected we could do all the way back in June, that we would be able to get our striker. And then you have these deals. Rashford, we've saved another 15 million on his wages since then. So the difference, no, we're not spending 75 million pounds. We're spending 65 million pounds up front. The rest is, the add-ons are later, right? So in the immediate, it's costing us 65 million pounds. Obviously, Garnacho, blah, blah, blah. We could do all of that. So point being, yes, once again, I had it right. We could spend 200 million before sales. We can, and we've done that. The extra money from Rashford helps us that we're probably spending more than we originally intended on the striker. Even back then, we were looking at in the 55 to 60 million range. We're going to spend more like 65 million. So we can do it. Guys, Howard Nurse is an old BBC editor, all right? There's nothing to take from his replies at this point in time, okay? All right? So, yeah, United can do it. The cash aspect is more important. The cash aspect is more important. That's what matters more for what our spending looks like. We can spend. We can get this done if we don't get sales, I don't think we'll have much money to spend after, because then you're talking about extreme risk territory. We got a little bit of sell-on money. We got a little bit of Rashford money, but we're starting to take risks after that point in time, like real risk. We probably do need, because bear in mind, yes, we got sell-on clauses, but I just want to clear something up. Here's the thing I want to clear up, okay? Listen. Hold on. Listen to me for a second. I want to explain something, okay? The sell-ons are only a one-time savings where the purchases have to cost us every year. My calculation, what I've done there was based on what we're saving long-term, so what we can spend, that's going to cost us each year that we're making space. The sell-ons help us for 1 year, but buying based on the money you got in from sell-ons is risky because it can cost you next year. You don't get those sell-ons again, but you still have the expense. So we need players to leave because we need wages off and amortizations off. Okay. Sancho's costing us 30 million this year. Yeah, he'll expire next year either way, but that would be a good savings. Garnacho, it could be enough money that it helps us a lot anyway, because we won't spend all of that. Antony is a big one. If we can get his amortization off the books, it'll help us now and it'll help us next year. Rasmus Højlund. If we get, as I did in the video yesterday, if we get, or Sunday maybe, if we get him off the books, then we save on his amortization next year also. So we need more long-term savings to recoup after this in order to spend. Because if we spend now after the striker, we're spending the Casemiro money that we're saving next year. We're spending the Sancho money that we're saving next year. And that means next year, we may not have the money. Do you understand? So that's what I'm trying to say here, is that I don't want us to spend, well, I don't think we will go and spend next year's money willy-nilly, because there's a lot, then it becomes really risky. Once you move beyond the striker, if we're not recouping by selling some players, we're probably spending next year's money. Okay? So we need to save quite a bit. If we get Europe, we'll have some money, but not enough. Like, because bear in mind, all those wages are going to go up. So it depends. If we get Europa, let's say we buy a midfielder this year and we don't make sales. And then we spend another 50, 60 million and we don't get sales. Fine. We've spent the Casemiro money. We're spending some of the Sancho money. If we get Europa, it'll net us about 40 million. Take away the wage savings and all of that, we only end up with about 20 million. So we will be then limited to about 100 million window next summer. So it's not like we won't be able to buy anything. We will if we get Europe. But if we can move Højlund after this, for example, then we'll have another 150 to 200 million in our budget next year. So we just need to be smart. It's not like we can't spend the money, but if we spend it and we get Conference League, we won't have a budget to spend. We won't have much. If we spend it and we get Europa, we'll have a bit of money. If we spend it and we manage to get Champions League, mind you, then we can still spend money. But we do want to sell. We do have players to sell. We do have Højlund to sell. We do have Antony to sell. We do have Sancho to sell. We do have players we can still move off the books here. And we do have the potential money from Garnacho.
I think this
will be Bruno's last season at United, so we should get good money for him. You mean this year or next year? We should get good money for him, because he's not leaving this year, for sure. He's leaving. He might leave next year, but he's definitely not leaving this year. He's not going anywhere right now. A lot of 5 to 10 million academy. These make-believe sales. Well, look, I'm saying that we have to make those sales. That's what I'm saying. We haven't made them. Yeah, and there's a cash. Well, Hamza, the thing is that there is a bit of PSR is not a non-factor. We have more space than originally because they manage the finances so well through the season. They manage the finances really, really well. So we have more space. But if we go spend 200 million net, we do, and we end up with like 150 million loss in the financial year, we do potentially have a PSR problem. Like there's a limit. Like right now, it's not a PSR problem. If we keep spending, we can have a PSR problem. I'll probably go live later today when the. Did you ask Mbumo for his glutes workout plan? No, but did you guys see in my video? There ain't no joke about Mbumo's, derriere. That you see him? Did you see in some of the angles? Did you see in some of the angles? Whew. The cake is real. It is not a lie. The cake is not a lie. I don't know who said the cake is a lie. The cake is not a lie, man. In person, that thing is crazy, man. That thing blocks the entire walkthrough. Executioner, my friend, ran into a couple journalists who indicated Rasmus not starting in Atlanta was telling me also had a good laugh about the mask and badge. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you, my friend.
Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Am I showing my age, Shatters? I don't know if a lot of these young kids will know the cake is a lie. But it ain't. It ain't a lie. No, look, I think Rasmus is going. To clear up the situation on Rasmus, I said this the other day. No porno complaints here. I said this the other day. Rasmus, as of yet the other day, had not been told that he was leaving, right? He has to be told he's not in the plans in order to accept a move elsewhere. He had not been told that as of yet, but it has been the case all summer. If he is told to leave, then he will consider a move. And his camp had talked with quite a few different clubs, but he has to be told. Yeah, I mean, Portal came out. Can you believe it? Portal 1 came out in 2007. That means that it's 18 years old, all right? So there are people who were in this chat who are probably the bulk of this chat was less than 8 years old when Portal came out. I would bet. So yeah, it's a bit old. It's a bit of an older reference. It's becoming an old reference. Can you believe that? I am old, Gandalf. But yeah, Rasmus will have to be told if he's not part of the plan to be sold. Now, what will make me feel better about this Sesko deal, because it is very expensive. It is very expensive. What will make me feel better about this Sesko deal is if somehow we can move, if somehow we can move Rasmus on for that 30 million pounds. Because right now, as it stands, should this go through, we've got 130 million pounds locked up in spending on two, as of yet, unproven strikers in Rasmus and Sesko. That's a lot of money. If we can get the Rasmus deal off the books, I feel way better. I will feel way, way better about this deal. But it was always going to be separate. If he chooses us, I think we will talk to Leipzig and say, all right, let's do a deal for Rasmus. Let's agree a fee, 30 million pounds. You've got him. And then go tell Rasmus, pack your bags off to Germany with you. I think he'd actually do quite well there, to be honest. But I think that's what's going to happen. That's my feeling on what happens now. We get this done with Leipzig. We give him for 30 million. And what's the plan for Cheeto? Well, that's kind of the important part. We can't have all these players because otherwise there's no space for Cheeto. And Cheeto was not supposed to be loaned out. Cheeto is not supposed to be outside the first team. We kind of hope we can. The idea is Cheeto to still get some senior minutes this season. So, yeah. stay live until we get a here we go Ornstein Bomba. I mean, you would think this shouldn't take much time if he's made the decision. Like, here's my concern, all right? If it goes long, the longer it goes, the longer it goes, the more I'll start to get a little bit worried. Because why should it take any time now, right? If he prefers us, and that's true, then this shouldn't take time, right? I mean, the longer it goes, the more it makes me feel it is 50-50, and we're like flip of the coin here. So I don't know. I would love to stay live until it happens, but I'm gonna have a limitation. Let me see what my schedule looks like today. I have a little more time, so I will stay live a bit longer, but yeah, we'll see. Oh, just put me in the background. I'm easy second screen. Just second screen me, you know what I mean? Work and second screen me, you know? Keep me live though, keep me views. I need the ad revenue to repay that trip. I will be going to Manchester this year, by the way. I have an invite. I will be going to Manchester. I will be taking a family to Manchester this year. Let me talk to you guys about that, because how many people here from Manchester are in there, are locals? How many people are here are locals, by the way? I think there's a good number.
If we get Sesko, what happens to Rasmus and Josh?
Your locals. Yeah, there's a good number of locals in here. And obviously that's just who's in the live. Obviously you add in videos and things like that as well, and the Discord and all of that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of people there. So I'll be going there this year.
If we don't get Sesko,
other clubs now, no, we have a lot of money. Yeah, that's correct. That is a worry, Jason. What we can do. I will be going this year. It might be around Boxing Day. But when I do, depending on the date, it's like Boxing Day or spring break kind of timing, most likely. Then I absolutely need to organize some kind of get together as well in Manchester for like a little event. Aside from going to the game, I want to do some kind of get together because there's a lot of people, locals in the community, and I would love to have some kind of event. I don't know where, I don't know how, because I have no idea how to organize that in a different country. And I don't know enough of the locals, like the local stuff. But what's going on? But yeah, I would absolutely love to organize an event around there, for like a get together of some sort during the time that I'm there. Sometime between like Boxing Day and New Year's, around that time. I figure it'll be a good time. So, yeah, that'll be cool. Just pick a bar. I know, but I feel there's going to be a lot of people. To be quite honest, like I was surprised by how many people I met in the U.S. that knew me. So I feel if we do an event, there's going to be a lot of people. So I feel like I'll have to organize something. Yeah, probably I'll speak with maybe Flex, KG, the Paddock guys as well. To since they're very local as well, to try to figure something else out. So to figure something out that they can help me organize something when I come out there. So just wanted to let you guys know of that well ahead of time. And I hope that'll be fun as well. What's all the news saying? Anything else? Both bids will be accepted. Confidence at MUFC end. Tell you what, United feel good about this, but we'll see. Yeah, obviously Laurie and Andy and things like that. But I just want to get a good idea of those guys. I'm also wondering if I can get somebody from like the club present, you know what I mean, to make it like a special occasion type of thing. That would be cool. Doing some kind of like sit down, all of that kind of stuff would be fun. Just saying, it would be cool to do some kind of event. Maybe we can, get Wes Brown to continue his world tour after going to 635 bars over the last 2 weeks. Maybe, maybe I can get him to do something mid-season. Hardworking guy. But yeah, anyway, we'll figure it out. So let's see. On the midfield, like I've said, I do think that there's a big potential play with somebody like Baliba, but I don't feel like that's particularly plausible during the season. During the summer, I feel like that's maybe a next summer plan, but I think there's definitely a view that he's a very good fit into this midfield in terms of a top player stylistically. And I'll share why. Betting suspended doesn't mean anything. Just to understand, guys, betting suspended means there's a surge of bets in one direction, usually so high that the odds makers don't want to run it anymore because they're just playing the odds. That's all that means. Just so you know, on the betting markets, there's not much. It just means a ton of United of people probably bet all at once on Sesko coming to United once the news broke, and then they suspend it because they don't want to have to pay out money if that happens. It was suspended to Newcastle 3 days. Yeah, exactly. It just goes based on, it's just based on that. So when there's news to Newcastle, a flood of Newcastle bets come in, betting gets suspended. Then a flood of United comes in, betting. It's just betting companies hedging. That's just what they do. They suspend it when it becomes too much. But yeah, on Baliba, this is why. Okay, you look at his characteristics. Top dribbler. This is what is wanted out of a 6 for Amram's system. Top dribbler, doesn't have to be a progressive passer. Top dribbler, high volume defender. But one of the things I want to show about Baliba, why he's like a unicorn, and you look at the similarities. Nemcha, we've been linked. Amadou Onana, obviously we looked at. Anton Stack. Anyway, those are just stats. But regardless, it's this right here. Look, where Baliba is basically like a unicorn midfielder for this system is that he's a high volume tackler and he's also uniquely efficient at it. Like most high volume tacklers, and I'm talking like Conte, like most high volume tacklers have a success rate around 40%. Okay. His is at 60. He's an insanely efficient tackler and challenger for the volume of defending that he does. Unbelievably so. Like he does like again, yeah, like you can see, like he does volume close to what like Ugarte does, but much more efficiently. And he does it more efficiently than like anybody. He's probably the most efficient defender I've ever seen at 6 as to what he's doing today. He's efficient beyond what you would need to be efficient in. Most of the time you see this success rate when they're doing like half of these numbers of tackles. So they're picking their spots a bit more, but he's just running around tackling and winning. He's high on interceptions, means he's reading the game really well also. Carries the ball very, very well, dribbles well, takes on players well. He's pretty much good in the air too. He's actually stylistically similar to Ugarte. He's just better. at a lot of things. But stylistically, he's quite similar. Strength is on the ball. Strength is high volume defending. He's just better at those things than Ugarte. So he's a much better fit than like Wharton in the present moment in time. So that's the view anyway. So I'd be it's just one we got to keep an eye on for the long term. Yeah, he's better on the ball than Ugarte, 100%. I'm saying like the strengths, they're similar profiles. He's just much better. You know, that's the truth of it. I think he's the perfect upgrade. Because it's what we need, but better. That's the point. Yeah, he's just a better version, and that's cool. That's what we want. I'm just trying to I'm trying to keep yapping a little bit more. Hold on 1 second. Given that, does it not make sense to wait for someone like him instead of getting an inferior player this summer? Well, that's the question that I have too, right? This is my wonder at this point in time. If we want to get a better player in the long, like if we want our top midfielder in the long term, we have this problem because we still have Casemiro this season. Do we get somebody to rotate with Ugarte now when we want to get a better upgrade next year? Like if we want a top guy next year, can we get somebody who's good enough now? I don't know. So if we can't, then we're going to have to be back in the market next summer. Well, then, yeah, I don't know. That's the concern. But I do think we need an Ugarte rotation this summer, because my biggest concern with Ugarte is like, let's say he's I want to say something. This is info, okay? I want to say something that's info. I think I've said it before, but this is info. At the end of last season, Amorim, who likes Ugarte, who wasn't pushing for him to be sold this summer, despite him not playing at the end of the season, his view was he was complaining to the board about the fact that he doesn't have anybody to rotate with Ugarte that offers the same thing. When he has to play Casemiro, we have to play different football. We can't press. It's different. He had that complaint. When Ugarte's out of form, tired, what have you, to where he's having a bad game, he doesn't have anybody stylistically the same or that offers a lot of the same characteristics that he wants to put in the team. That was a complaint. That problem hasn't been solved yet. That's why we wanted like that energetic midfielder. We still haven't solved that problem this summer. So like you look at like the Everton game, Ugarte's having a bad game, fine. He comes off for Casemiro, it's worse. It's not better. Casemiro comes on, preloaded slide tackle, concede a goal instantly. Like, it's not better. Collier has some similar out of possession traits, but I don't think he's particularly rated that highly. But he may be the only option in that stance. But we got word that he's probably going to leave, so I don't know. So I don't think Martinez can do it. Martinez is not going to be ready for a bit, and there's another factor here on Martinez. The problem with Martinez and his knee injury is lateral movement. The midfield requires a lot more lateral movement than the center back position does. Center back position is a lot more up and down. The number 6 position is a lot of side to side. When you've torn your ACL, side to side is what you don't want to do too much of. That's where it gets really rough. That's what takes the longest to feel normal, is this fast side to side movements. So when a guy's torn his ACL, the thing I worry about most is the side to side, not the forward backwards. That's from talking to like medical people at United, by the way. Just their feedback on ACL injuries and the knee and the stability of it after things like that. So I don't think that's the solution in that respect. Um, so yeah, maybe next we get somebody now. Next year we get if Bruno goes, then yeah, obviously we could get another midfielder. You could run Balaba and Mainu and have Ugarte and another player in there. Sure, that would be cool. But yeah, we don't know that that's the case. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen on that, because we still don't have, that we still don't have that thing. You know what I mean? Like, we still don't have that solution that we've been talking about. I wanted to talk about because again we're kind of just yapping a little bit here, while we're waiting to see if something comes out. I'm gonna keep going for at least, like, I swear to God, the minute I stop, it's gonna happen, isn't it? What are your thoughts again about the 1958's protest against SJR? Fans have every right to express their voice and express their opinions, but I've said before, I think people are extremely underestimating what Ineos are doing. Protesting against Jim Ratcliffe to me is stupid. Like, it's just stupid. I have no idea what the point of protesting Jim Ratcliffe is, because he and Ineos so far have done nothing but what was necessary. I get protesting the Glazers 100% because they're the problem. I don't know. Protesting ticket prices. I get that. But yeah, look, there's things that obviously I think there's the 4,000 seat thingy, but it's not a thing. It's just a discussion. It's not even a thing. It hasn't been proposed. It hasn't been sacking staff. We had to. We literally had to. I don't know what to say about that. People, the same people. I'm not saying the 1958 are like all this one hive mind. I'm guaranteed there's tons of people in there calling for transfers over summer, protesting sacking of staff. You can't do that. Those two things are incongruent. I just don't think it's reasonable. I think that the other thing that I want to say about this is that like, I spoke to somebody while I was out there who's around, like, the fans board that actually talks to Ineos, that actually talks to Jim Ratcliffe, that actually talks to them, and has also spoken to the Glazers. And one of the things that I can say from their feedback, because I wanted to know, is that very explicitly they said, one, the club, Ineos or Jim, they're not policing people's opinions. They're not telling people, don't say bad things about us online if you want to be involved in these fan boards and stuff like that. They've never done anything like that. Two, they listen. Compared to the Glazers, they listen. And they've taken a lot on board from fans already. Are they perfect? Are they doing things that are unpopular? Yeah, and this was somebody I spoke with that heavily disagrees with a lot of these kinds of things. That heavily disagrees with a lot of the things that Ineos are doing. That doesn't even want a new stadium, you know? But the feeling from them around the communication with Ineos and Sir Jim versus the Glazers is light years of difference. So
if the Sesko deal falls through,
I don't know.
I think
it is
we
what it
should
is.
go
People
for
have the right to
Donnarumma
protest, though.
and
They always
Edison
do, and to share their voice if that's what they feel is the right thing to do. So I'll never not support that aspect of it. People should and can and always have that right to do that, and should do that if that's what they feel is their right way to do anything. If the Sesko deal falls through, I think we should go for Donnarumma and Ederson from Atlanta and go for a striker next summer. I think we need a striker. I like Donnarumma and Ederson, though, but I think we need a striker really bad, frankly. And that's what I wanted to show. But look, the reality for me of it is this, is that right now, I don't think that Sir Jim and Ineos and these guys have done anything but things that are well-intentioned. They've made mistakes. They probably will make more. Not every decision is going to be popular, but many of them are probably necessary. The whole staff thing was certainly not popular, but I don't see people complaining now when we're spending 200 million. You know, I don't see that. So did a bunch of them go to the Drake concert or something? Did they all go to a show when they got back? Which yeah, look, the togetherness of the team's crazy. They haven't got the Glazers out. It's not their job to get the Glazers out. I'm sorry to say. The only people that can get the Glazers out are the Glazers. I hope you understand that. The only people that can get the Glazers out are the Glazers. There's no hostile takeover possible. You may not like the Glazers, and neither do I. But the way they organize their ownership of the club is pretty infallible from a business standpoint to stop people from being able to break up their whole, like, clique on this thing. Unless they all decide as a family to sell up, that can't happen. Are Ineos and Sir Jim working towards more? Yeah, I think they always will be. But that's not their fault if it doesn't happen. It doesn't, those are two different things. He can be trying. He tried to buy the whole club. The Glazers didn't want to sell the whole club by that point in time and decided to sell a minority share at that point in time as well. It's still the Glazers. At the end of the day, it's still up to the Glazers to sell at any point in time and nobody else. They can try all they want. Jacob's always mentioned Ndidi. Ndidi's already gone, and he was never an option for us. That was just agent talk. Ndidi's gone to Turkey or whatever. I don't care if I get clipped up all over socials. It doesn't matter. They want to take more of the club. They always have wanted to take more of the club. They always wanted to take more of the club from the start. They've always wanted to own the full club. They cannot force the Glazers to sell the club. If they could, they would own the club already. Nobody can force them to sell. It's just, it is what it is, man. There's just a reality that has to be faced here that they can't force them. Hopefully they do get a deal done that gets more of the club. I know they want to. I know they've been discussing it. I know they've been thinking about it. It's still, in the end, up to the seller to sell. There still has to have agreement with the seller to sell. At the moment, they're doing what they can to fix the club within while doing what they can on the outside. So it is what it is. They can have a clear plan. It still requires a willing seller. We can't pick off the Glazers one by one. That's why I said, as much as you may not like them, they set up a very smart business model. You can't do a hostile takeover because the Glazer siblings, the way that they've structured this dual shares, you can't buy one Glazer out at a time. That's what you do in another business. You can't buy them one by one. That's the problem. No Glazer sibling can sell their shares to Ineos. Yeah, I'm not going to discuss that aspect. No Glazer sibling can sell their shares to Ineos. The minute they do, they convert to Class A shares, and you buying nothing. It doesn't work. You have to have the Glazers' approval as one entity for selling it. That's it. That's the truth of the matter. So I thought the big obstacle was the Class A shares. Well, that was a big obstacle, yes. For sure. That was a big obstacle. Absolutely. So, yeah. because of the dual structure and how the whole thing works, and that it inflated the price to absurd kind of numbers, and then the Glazers didn't want to sell by that point in time, and we're looking for minority investment. So there's United, hopefully, Ineos hopefully will take over. Hopefully they can work out a deal that gives them more of the club. Hopefully they can. It's still up to the Glazers. So I'm gonna judge them on the basis of what they're doing with the ability that they have. And right now, I think they're doing good things. Hopefully they do buy more shares soon. Why would they sell their shares when we're renovating? Right, good question. So the whole feeling on the matter, that's just not true, Nice. I'm sorry, but it's just not.
Ineos' fault. If they didn't get into bed with the Glazers, the club would have 100%.
It wouldn't have been sold to anybody. Now. There's nobody to sell it to. Ineos made an offer to buy 100% of the club, and it was blocked by the board at United. And Qatar never had a viable bid. There's nobody to sell it to. You need a buyer and you need a seller. It just wasn't the case. There's just nothing else. But one of the reasons the whole stadium and renovation project could be the catalyst is because, very, very simply, one of the reasons it could be the catalyst is the club won't be profitable for a long time. And in order to make this deal happen, it's very likely there's going to have to be some investment. And investment is going to have to be tied to some share sales and things like that. So there's a good chance that some sort of ownership sale is going to have to occur in order to raise funds for this whole project, because otherwise it's going to be nearly impossible to fund. Okay, so that's been mentioned as one of the potential routes that allows the club to run, or this whole project to happen. And that's one of the hopes, is that a big part of this project will necessitate the Glazers cashing out a little bit and then giving up more ownership. So hopefully that does happen in this, because I want nothing more than them to take over fully. I'm not going to protest them in particular, because they're the people we need to literally buy the club out. So I hope that they're successful in what they do with United. So we'll see. Now, if United was going to run out of money, the problem you had is that the Glazers were prepared to sell to someone like Redbird Capital. And if you think that would have been better, good for you. That's getting out of bed with the devil and getting into bed with the super devil, okay? If they'd sold to private equity like those guys, holy shit. So, yeah, if you think that was a better option because it got the Glazers out, well, there are worse devils in the world, unfortunately. There are worse. You can think it can never get worse, and it can. It absolutely can. If you went into like a pure private equity backed consortium with the Glazers, that would be the end of the club permanently, forever. So yeah, yeah, that would be it. That would actually be selling off the club for parts. Carrington, the women's team, the things we're kind of seeing elsewhere. Yeah, you're worried about redundancies, you're worried about ticket prices, you're worried about all of that. Your season tickets are gone, okay? That seat licensing thing would have been done yesterday. You know, all of those things that people really don't want, all of that would have happened. All of that would have happened. It would have been crazy. It would have been insane. It would have been absolutely nuts. Okay? The things that they would do to a club. That would have been a shell of itself just to keep the place running. And we still would have spent terribly on transfers and never appointed experts. So that's the worst part about it. The money that we put together to spend on transfers would have been spent by the same people who failed on spending $1 billion already. So Chelsea is not an example, because Chelsea is actually he's actually a sports consortium, and that's backed by private equity. That's not the people in the same that we're talking. Those are not the same groups that we're talking about. United is not Chelsea's group. And I think that even using Chelsea as an example is kind of hilarious, because Chelsea have done things that I'm very, very glad United have not done. Very, very glad United have not done. 100%. I'm very, very happy United have not done a lot of stuff Chelsea have done, and for all their money, they still only have fucking one Champions League qualification. So, yeah. What did I want to talk about? Shit, there was something I meant to do to yap for a minute. I was going to come back and talk about the midfield and talk about Sesko and talk about why I was kind of happy to see. Well, I wanted to talk specifically about Everton and why I felt we needed striker more than anything else. Okay? Yeah, Ugo Chukwu went to Burnley. Ugo Chukwu went to Burnley. Unfortunately. All right, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything, and then we're gonna yap a little more. I swear I've got like 30, 40 minutes in me, guys. So I'm just gonna keep going. Okay. I've got time left in the tank here. Okay. Let's see here. I wanted to pull this up. So since while we're yapping, let's do a little tactics here. Okay. I wanted to speak about the issue that we faced against Everton, especially later on. So when I spoke about this thing earlier, I talked about how teams can press us and go man to man if they go man to man on the 10s. And one of the things Everton really, really did really, really strong is they pressed really, really hard. Okay. They pressed really, really hard. And what that does, and this is one of the reasons Ugarte had a bad game, by the way, because we know what he's good at and we know what he's bad at. So this is Ugarte in here. When they go man-to-man on this and they follow the 10s, which they did with Everton, with big physical players, this gets really crowded, and you could see that. This gets really, really crowded. Now, there were two things that were happening. One thing bothered me that Lenny needs to sort out. I don't know why he was scared to do this in this game. But in the first half, what was the problem? Okay? The first half, this was Dalot, not Dorgu. Why is that a problem? Because when the 10s were coming, instead of Dalot, who was technically the free man in this position, if it's Dorgu, he was staying high and wide and spreading the pitch so that Lenny Yoro could hit the switch. I have 11 outfield players. I'm aware. One's the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper is essentially in a back three with one of the center backs pushing up into the 2 and build up. Okay. I'm aware. There's a free man because it's 11 versus 10. There's always a free man in this system, by the way. It's a fact. There's always a free man in the system. Always a free man in the system. If this is Dorgu, you're seeing those switches from Lenny. Switch, switch, switch. But it was Dalot. And what does Dalot do? He sits right here. Terrible positioning. If you watch his positioning in the build-up, he's in the wrong spot on the left always. He's inverting instead of staying wide, because there's a couple things that can happen. If he stays wide and high like Dorgu does,
So with this money being spent on a striker, is there any more money left for an okay midfielder and possibly a
There might be
GK?
there might be, but I think we need sales. He was sitting on top of Shaw, so you lose the whole advantage of this when your free man isn't sitting in free spaces. If he's out here, what can happen is it forces the center backs to move, and it relieves some pressure because they start having to adjust to it, and it leaves your 10 open for this pass. That wasn't happening, okay? He was sitting here. That means that they could occupy our entire front line man-to-man, okay? That was one problem. So what happens then? The ball goes to the middle. And we're man-to-man, and now you're asking Ugarte, definitely not his strong suit. You're asking De Ligt, not his strong suit, to receive the ball with pressure, with no free man around them, and to dribble out of pressure. That's what you're asking him to do. Not ideal, okay? Second problem, system-wise, okay? Now, you can have a better 6 who can do better at this, and it will help you. But, yeah. Look, just to fully answer that question, I did answer it earlier. I don't know who the okay midfielder is. It depends on the installments, and we probably do need to sell a little bit. So anyway, it wasn't working like it was with Dorgu, where he'd be up here, and they're leaving him open and you're switching, or you're forcing the defense to switch and you're leaving a 10 open when it went to that side. And because his positioning was bad, we also couldn't move the ball to the left side because it's just bad. So Everton were doing that man-to-man in the middle, clog it up. We were not being able to progress through the wide areas at this point in time in this game. Now, the other thing that happened is when the 10s were being followed, this is why I don't like Cunha in here as a striker. I like Cunha. In the build-up, what is he not doing is not making this run as well. He's not making the run into the channel behind this center back right here who's following the 10. He wasn't doing that. I don't expect him to do that because that's not what he does. That's not his forte. Off ball, deep runs, out of possession. That's not what he's going to do. So 2 things happened. That and this collapsed the game into the midfield, and we struggled. It collapsed the game into the midfield, and we struggled. Having a striker who makes these runs would have provided that pressure release where we can send the ball into the channels, and it would have solved a lot. Also, being a big guy, isolated, then you can just chip the balls up to Sesko and he can bring them down. Now, his back to goal isn't amazing, in my opinion, even despite his size. But he can still win the header, maybe flick it onto a runner. Pop it over to Mbumo. Bob's your uncle, Cheryl's your aunt, and on you go. So he will improve us a lot. When Amorim's system doesn't have this outlet, and then you combine that with one more non-ideal situation, it's a bad system. That's a weakness. But you do have that outlet. You need the right players. This is what frustrated people a lot last year. When you don't have a striker making those moves, then this gets really, really, really rough. All right? It gets really, really rough because you're asking non-optimum players to play in non-optimum situations against bigger, physical, stronger players that, like Everton. And you're going to face those in the Premier League. You're going to face big bullies that they want you to be stuck in the middle like this, where they can run you down. And they were doing it. They were running us down on this side, winning the ball, all of that. Now, our sloppiness didn't help. The system at all. We lost a lot of, Ugarte was turning the ball over too much. Frankly, Ahmad was turning the ball over too much too. And we went to the other side, Bruno was turning the ball over too much. So we were still too sloppy, but part of the sloppiness is that we didn't have the pressure release. The press can cause sloppiness. The pressure can cause sloppiness, and we don't have the we didn't have the pressure valve, the steamer on the kettle to let it out. It just builds up, and then we implode. That was not ideal. We need a striker really, really bad. The other factor was in how we were playing, especially when Mbumo came off, and then Ahmad was here, Dalo was here, Dorgu was up here, right? Something like that. This positioning again wasn't so great, but we really struggled again because Cunha, this is how I see it. Cunha is the best player we have at dropping in to assist the midfield from the 10s. So the 10s weren't dropping as much as Cunha does. And that hurt us. But as primarily as well, Rasmus was actually making those runs in the Bournemouth game to keep it open, which meant more space for the 10s to drop and receive the ball. So, yeah. So that's why. That's why I think a striker is a priority. If let's say we kept this system the same, and we upgraded the midfield, let's say, all right? Let's say we kept the system the same, but we upgraded the midfield. The problem is, that's cool. It's great. You get Baliba in here. You don't get a striker. What you're then doing is saying, this one player is going to win his one-on-ones right here, and that's going to fix everything. No, it's not. It still doesn't fix the break in the system. It still doesn't fix the counterplay to the system. It's not fixing anything. It's just you're going to have better odds of Baliba winning this one-on-one in the press than Ugarte and being able to break out into space and release the ball. So, yeah, you want better players in every position. The more guys you have who win their duels, the more guys you have who win their one-on-ones, the better. We also play too deep, we have to play higher up the pitch. Well, there's that too, yes. But a striker does help that as well. For sure, we need to get higher up the pitch. Getting better players in these positions will help you win duels and better your odds. But essentially, all that's doing is saying, we can beat the counter to our system, but it's not our system working. And so it's like, it's okay, but it doesn't solve why this didn't work. If Ugarte was better, it didn't change stylistically what was wrong in that game. If he didn't turn the ball over, we still had the same problems in that game progressing it. We still had the same issues. The striker making those runs, and the 10s dropping deeper, and the wing backs staying where they're supposed to be, fixes those problems in the system and gives you the advantage tactically that the system is supposed to provide you with. So that's the basics. Then upgrade the players and start to win those one-on-ones even more. So a good midfielder would help, but the good midfielder wouldn't have made Everton a good game. I'm sorry, it wouldn't, because we had tactical problems with this personnel we had on the pitch. We had execution problems, but we also had tactical problems, and the tactical problems was worse. So that's my view on it. Yeah, that's my view on it. It doesn't really change much. So that's why I think we need a striker so bad. Do you think all of us are wrong on Ugarte and you're in the correct minority, i.e. he's useful and can play a pivotal role in the system? Well, to a degree, yeah, frankly. But not for the reasons people think. Like, if we had a different manager, it's purely system and manager dependent, right? Because of what I just explained. It's also the view of the club. When we ended the season, I said that our priorities were goals, goals, goals. And the view of the club was that the forwards were the problem more than anything else by far. The forwards were the problem more than anything else by far. They were the issue. They were the thing that caused the problem. Because the forwards are midfielders in this system as well. So it's manager specific. Do I think Ugarte has been good enough? No. Do I think Ugarte has shown he's the guy to lead the team to the title? No. Do I think he's potentially good enough for this system? Yes. I think a lot of people are looking at the system and asking the system to change. When I look at a lot of the analysis, it's like, stop inverting the center back. He's not going to stop inverting the center back. It's part of his system. You know, do this, do that. Well, that's cool and all, but that's not his system. I like I said before, I am positive that most people have not watched Ruben Amorim Sporting in Portugal for more than one or two games.
Striker and GK this year and invest big on a midfielder next year.
I would like to, yeah, I would agree, Iraqi. That's what I would like to do. You can get amazing forwards, but you have to get the ball to them in dangerous areas often. If Haaland walked in his team last year, would he have scored bucketloads? No, but he's just one. He's just one player. I'll go back to this and show you what I mean. Like, let's look at how the ball should... I'm just going to do this one more time, and then I'll come back to something. You're right. A striker alone doesn't fix this. The 10s do. The 10s fix the system. Not the striker is an additional player to fix the system. Right. A lot of people are trying to fix the system by making it a system they like. How? Let's just look at this. How does this ball get to the striker? Okay. Well, it has two options. One, run the channel, send it in long, let the team catch up. In the final third, this system is no different to Pep's, to Arsenal's, to anybody's. It's a 3-1-6. It's no different. Teams have been playing a 3-1-6, 3-2-5 for ages and ages and ages in the final third. So in the final third, it's no different. So really, when you're talking about the system, you're talking about the first and second phases of how you get through it. In the final third, once you're getting around the box, it's the same system as everybody else's. Tried and tested, overlaps, cutbacks, overlaps, cutbacks, overlaps, cutback, crosses. It's just basics, 3-1-6. There's nothing unique about it at all, actually. Amorim's system is not unique in the final third. It's only unique in the build-up. And this is two parts. You get the ball by sending the ball into the channel, or you get it by build-up. If the 10s aren't being watched because the wing-back's going to the right place, and you have the striker sitting in between, how do you get the ball up there? You get the ball from the center backs to the 10s. You get the ball from the center backs to the 10s. Like, again, it's situational. If the 10s have to drop. If the 10s are not followed too tightly, they usually will be followed to a degree. But if it's not followed too tightly, they receive it. Wingbacks have to get up the pitch. Midfielders have to get up the pitch. Everybody's got to move forward from the moment the 10 receives it. The 10 has to be able to turn out of pressure and release one of these players or dribble the ball up the pitch. It's actually that simple in a lot of ways, but you get two runners behind them, a midfielder, a wingback, a striker making a run in behind, and you try to instantly overload the defense by making all these runs beyond the 10 as they drop in and turn and sending the ball forward. Or dribble up, get into position, and settle that into your next phase of play, which is everybody forward. That's one route to progress the ball forward. That's the basic route. Get it to the 10s, 10 turns. The 10s turn, and they have runners beside them into the channels, and they can send it or they can follow it themselves. That's a really, really simple explanation of let me move these guys all back into the right spots, of buildup. Now, if the 10s are pressed, what's supposed to happen, and people don't like this, but it's a fact. If the 10s are followed, what that means is you have a free man. So you have two choices, and this is why the wide center backs are so crucial. So crucial. Run the channel, send the ball over the top. Amram likes a long ball. There you go. That's answer 1. Answer 2, long ball, send the wing back over the top. That's a tough pass, but we saw Lenny Yoro do it over and over and over and over in Sweden, right? You have to be able to make that pass. Those are the two passes. That's why these wide center backs are so important. It all depends on what happens to the 10s. If they go man to man and they follow the wing backs and they follow the 10s man to man, then you do that. You have other options too. Let's say this 10 gets followed, he drops really deep. What's your other option? The wingback has to get by this player, send the ball into the channel for the wingback. There's so many variations to it. It's just here's why it didn't work last year. That's Garnacho. People don't like to accept it, but this is why. That's Garnacho. He just runs up here. Højlund doesn't move, and it becomes easy to defend because you end up with these big gaps. So the ball goes to this side. Instead of Garnacho coming into here, he's always running this way. He's always just running into the channel. And then Højlund is standing static. And it becomes very, very easy to defend at that point in time because everybody just slides. And there's no open man to pass it to in this position. It's that simple. When Xerxes played in the 10, we saw that solved. He would always drop deep. He would help our build up so much. He was a good example of why we wanted 10s. So it's just about alternating sides, reacting to what the defense gives you, and then sending it. And long balls are a big part of Ruben Amorim's game. Like I've said, think Liverpool, not City. Think Liverpool, not City. Liverpool, fast attacks. We saw that a few times. Fast attacks. It is chaotic. It is transitional based. These are manufacturing transitions, right? This is what is kind of meant by that. If you force them man to man and then they collapse the field, you manufacture a transition, you go long, and you force a quick attack. Manufacturing transitions is kind of the current meta in football. And Ruben Amorim does that well. That's what his system does well. Our build-up's been fine when we play with Cunha. Since he's come on, it's helped significantly. But it requires fast movements, it requires fast reactions, and it requires excellent passing from these two players. They're so key to the whole thing. They have to be able to pass it here, they have to be able to pass it here, they have to be able to pass it here, and they have to be able to pass it here. Once the basics are in place, then more variations will come into play. And then you keep upgrading players. Players who can put your foot on the ball. Well, yeah, Mbumo, Cunha, Ahmad, Sesko, Dorgu, these are all players who have shown sincere, dramatic capabilities, you know, in terms of their control on the ball. So, yeah, and Mount's done well at this too. This is why Ruben likes Mount so much, because he does this well. Drop in, receive it, one touch over to somebody, inside, outside, all sorts of things. I think that people are... The reason we got a young, innovative manager is because his interpretation and play on the game is different to other people's. Asking him to do the same thing as everybody else is silly. He's like, people are saying, well, this is how this tactic works. Well, no, it's his own tactic. So, Keith, I see what you were saying now, Hamza. All right, here, I'll show you. I'm not going to show the original tweet, but you can tell if you know what you're looking at on the screen who it is. Well played. Well played. All right. Anyway, I was trying to figure out. I thought it was like a transfer related thing that Hamza was trying to tell me to look at, but yeah. So yeah, look, this is the assessment. This is from May. Goals, goals, goals. 3 wanted. 3 forwards. That was the assessment. That was the plan. 3 wanted. So, are you still live? I am. We're about to hit the 2-hour mark, and then I'm probably gonna have to end it because I was hoping we would get something. But yeah, we have 2 out of 3 down. We're almost 3 out of 3 down. How would I rate this window so far out of 10? I think Cunha and Boom are 9 out of 10 signings. Sesko is hard to rate. Time will tell. It's hard to rate. Time will tell. I like us getting a striker with the right traits, though. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Because I think the Cunha and Mbeumo ones are just so good and so impactful that that alone will improve us dramatically. The only downside of the Sesko thing is the price. If it was 40 million, it'd be I would say it's an amazing deal. At 65 million pounds, it's a lot. Yeah, read the land purchase is called compulsory land purchase, and the government and SEBCO can force it through for market price and no hackle. Exactly, that's my point. So it's a block, but they're already prepared for it because of how they've set things up. So that's why they wanted the government backing. Like, people said the government backing story was a nothing. It is. The reason it was important to the stadium is because of things like this. They needed the government to be on board so that they could do things like this, because they probably knew that this kind of issue was coming up, you know? Does SJR send memes? I've never spoken to him, you know? I've never spoken to him. I wish I got memes from SJR. That would be nice. Right now, Brentford are like, you knew you had more money. Yeah. They're certainly working. Right, Graham. So here's just, I'm going to summarize this because we're almost 2 hours. Jesus Christ. I do need to go. I know we might get something soon, but I actually have a couple calls to make, so I'll be back hopefully a little later, as soon as possible. Yeah, it's the stadium, it's the regeneration, it's the project around it. They need the government. Here's the situation. Benjamin Sesko and his team held talks with both Newcastle and United yesterday. As far as I know, he gave encouragement to both clubs to make a bid and that he was open to them. United feel he's preferred us. United feel that he was waiting for us to make a bid, but obviously keeping Newcastle in the race, because I think he would go to Newcastle if we didn't enter the race. I think he would. Like, I think the thing is, he would go to Newcastle if we weren't in a race, but so he wanted them to be involved because it wasn't a certainty that we would enter, that we could match the bids, or that we could do that. But United's feeling is that while he's open to both, he would prefer United with United's bid. And so, given that, they think he's leaning our way. They've thought he's leaning our way all along, or he would have accepted Newcastle right away. But he held talks with both clubs yesterday and gave indications to both clubs to bid. Maybe that's just to get this to a finality, to see that United are there, to see that Newcastle is there. The feeling has always been if it's even, it'll go to United. And it feels even, or feels close enough to even. So hopefully they've got this right. That's all I can say. Their feeling, I'm not in the mind of Sesko. Nobody is. United's feeling is that he wants United and that he'll pick United should, in the current situation of things. From my money, if this goes on long, like every hour that ticks by, I start to get a little more concerned. Because that would imply it's not that we're out, but that it's 50-50. What are your thoughts now on the question yesterday of why we would encourage a bidding war if you want to join United? I don't know. That's the part that bugs me. That's the part that sticks in my brain a little. If he wanted us, why not just tell us? The only question to that is, the only counterpoint to that I can see is highest fee possible, does right by Leipzig, more agent fees. Maybe it was part of the personal terms why he wanted another club involved, higher wages and things like that. That's a genuine reason. That's a genuine reason as a possibility that it was more to do with the personal terms than it was the bids itself to Leipzig. That's also a possibility. The wages he's asking for are fairly significant. He might be getting higher wages than Cunha and Mbumo, by the way. But at the same time, so I was thinking about that. I'm still not convinced. It's still confusing to me a little bit, but that would be, to me, the reason. Any news on training ground sponsors? I don't think we can get news ahead of time. But the training ground will be announced, released on the 8th with some journalists, some people there. There'll be a lot of pictures. There'll be tons of articles. There'll be all sorts of shit on that. A bunch of people getting tours and things of the new training ground. So on Friday, we'll see what comes with that. Yeah, he's on over like 150K already, according to Build. So I think he's asking for about 200K. I think he'll be on slightly higher wages than Cunha and Mbumo. That's part of what. That was, again, I'm just saying, part of what throws me a little bit. It's just. It's more than 130K. According to Build, he's on 10 million euros per year. 10 million euros per year is 192 per week. That's 167K per week already in pounds. That's according to Build. It says a year ago he was on he got put on 10 million a year euros alongside this agreement to leave. Capology is not correct. I'll find you the article. Capology is an estimate. It can be okay, but it's just an estimate. Their Build reported here. This was a year ago. I'll pull this up and show you exactly. I can't see the whole article, but it was summarized. June 12th, 2024. Secret agreement with Leipzig Star. So it says that he got, anyway, in this article from Build, it says that he's on 190,000 a week euros. And he could leave for 75 million euros next summer to a special club. So that's the whole thing about this agreement he has. So yeah, he's on big wages. It's a big deal, man. This is an expensive deal. You can understand my doubts about it and why I was surprised at us even moving on it. It's an expensive deal, man. It better work. It just better work. That's all I gotta say. Like, it better work out, man. It better work out. It better work out. Yeah, he'll be on like 200K. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's a lot, but I'm not gonna judge him based on his fee. He just needs to work out. But I do think that it's a serious like. Yeah, I think it means a lot. I think it's a big call. A big call for Vivell. Seriously. So, all right, now I do have to end because I've got to go do some work in like 10 minutes. I've been sitting at my desk for 2 hours now since 7:50 this morning. Cannot believe it's been that long. Time flies when you're yapping. Is this what emergency meetings look like? I don't do enough substances for this to do this. All right, guys, I'm gonna end it here. I probably will be back later because I'm sure we'll get news on all of this. But just again, summarizing, bid is in, bids are close. Feeling is he met with both clubs yesterday and encouraged bids. United feel he's going to choose